Welcome back to another episode of Reacting to Crash Videos. In this episode, we have 4 crashes to investigate. As always, I'm going to stack them from kind of least interesting to most interesting, so make sure you stick around to the very end to see what we got going on there. All these crashes are somewhat recent and very relevant to the current state of paramotoring, if you will. Before we get into the actual crashes, I want to give you guys a heads up. Next week, only a few videos away, we are planning a brand new Risky Biscuits Co. merch drop, along with a brand new giveaway. I want to show you guys some of the designs because I'm like more stoked than ever for these new designs. They're looking fantastic. First up, we got the Have Fun or Die Trying Buddy stuck in the top of a pine tree. That's gonna be available as a t-shirt and a freaking cotton candy tie-dyed hoodie. I'm super stoked for that one. Next up, we have Risk Takers Fun Havers. Gonna be a black shirt, also available on a black tie-dye hoodie. And the last design, we have Miss Risky 2. She's looking hot at the beach. And additionally, we're gonna have some cool new hats. Actually, this hat I'm wearing right now with a nice embroidered Risky Biscuits logo. Like I said, stay tuned for all that coming next week. Brand new designs, brand new giveaway. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, let's get into video number 1. So this one was submitted through email, and all the email had was this attachment, and it said, "With love from Russia." I was a bit skeptical, but I opened it, and it's pretty good.
Нихуя не удалось. Ну ёпта.
So obviously that went horribly wrong, and I think what the guy here, the pilot, did was kind of obvious. It looked like, you know, his kiting skills were good. He had a good inflation, he's running, he's very stable with the wing, but he's just not adding power. Dude's literally at idle the whole way. So that's problem number 1. You're never gonna get off the ground unless you add power. You need that power to gain speed, to gain lift, to fly through the air. Second problem here is he's just fully committed, way too committed. Like at some point, you gotta be aware of your surroundings and know that you're about to run into a lake and calm down, abort mission, and set up again. So video number 2 comes from a man, Dave DePino. You guys might remember him from a video I did the first flight on my Triox, my tandem wing. He was my first tandem passenger under that wing. So Dave has a pretty interesting situation here. Let's take a look at the clip and then we'll reflect on it.
So I'm all excited. There's the deer, you know, it's all, I can't see it with a 360 camera very well. And then it happens. Look at my hand. I'm trying to get that to work, but that thing has cracked inside. And this is the second time it cracked. I was told that the Viderazi throttle could do better. Anyway, and I go right in. I'm trying to miss the tree on my left, getting my wings stuck up in there, which would have been hard to get out. And down I go. Now, I want you to watch it in regular time, real time, because it really happened fast. I mean, there it is, and boom, I'm down. But you can hear that it didn't hurt me, and listen to what I have to say. I don't know what happened, but my engine is not responding to the throttle.
So Dave's flying a Scout paramotor with the Viderazi stock V throttle. What happens here is something internally on his throttle snaps. I would assume it's the plastic lever that actually actuates the throttle. So this is what I find interesting here. Obviously, we always want to assume that our motor can die at any point in time for any reason. It's kind of one of the things about paramotors. They're 2-stroke engines. They're inevitably going to die at some point. But you think about the 2-stroke engine itself, it's pretty complicated, relatively. There's a lot of moving parts. But regardless of all that, the combustion, the carburation, all those kind of sensitive factors, a motor out can boil down to one very simple little thing like this: a broken piece of plastic in your throttle. In the past, my buddy Jeff has had a throttle cable snap inside the actual sheathing of the cable. You would never be able to see that type of failure or prevent it. Just like Dave's case, it probably broke internally. There was no way to pre-flight it. There was no reason to assume that that plastic would just randomly break. So I think this is just a good reminder to just always assume your engine's gonna die. I think Dave did a really good job here though in making the best of the situation. He honestly didn't have much time to react, and he couldn't have really made a turn in this situation. I think his best bet was pretty much what he did, just shoot for the gap. try to flare as he comes in, and he slid it out. He did say he did about $1,000 worth of damage to the carbon fiber parts and his propeller and everything, which is unfortunate, but the most important thing is he walked out. Walked to the nearest road, and his wife came and picked him up. So good work, Dave. So let's move on to clip number 3. This one comes from man Adam, and it involves a water landing. Now, I'm gonna play some select clips from this whole video, but I wanna encourage you guys to check out the links for all these videos in the description, and this one specifically because Adam has a really good play-by-play of the entire thing. Exactly how it happened, exactly how it affected him, his thoughts about flying, like it gets pretty deep.
So we're flying over this river. Everything's going great. We're talking and we're chatting back and forth. And all of a sudden I see some power lines. And I saw them with enough time where I didn't have to panic, like slam one way or slam into them. Or I saw them and I started to go right a little bit. I'm like, I can't make a right. So I just went hard left. And hard enough where I couldn't make a full turn because I was too close to the water. And as I'm pushing my wing away and the lines away, my motor starts to sink. And I'm trying to keep my arms flapping in order to hold it up because I haven't got my leg straps undone yet. The first time my head dipped down into the water and I came up, I kind of gasped, for air. And I'm like, now my brain is saying, this is serious. Like, I'm trying to hold the weight of this motor up. I started thinking about my daughters. I've got twin girls that are going to be 12 just in a few weeks. And I thought about them for a second, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to leave them. There's no way I'm going out like this and going to leave them, these 2 little girls who adore their father, who they need me in their life.
As a lot of us know, water is one of the most dangerous things in flying a paramotor, and Adam talks about all those things in this video. So obviously what happened in this situation is Adam's flying down a river, and he discusses how normally we try to look and scope things out before we get on a committed path like this. But in this situation, for whatever reason, they didn't scope out the actual river run. As he's flying down the river, having a wonderful time, enjoying his flight, he notices the power lines across the river. In this situation, he chose to try to do a turn. He ended up basically spinning his glider. I don't know if there would have even been room to do a 180-degree turn, but his glider spins and he kerplunks down into the water. Initially, he thought it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but he ended up literally fighting for his life. Lucky for him, his buddy that was filming at the time made a quick landing as close as he could. He ran into the water and helped him out of this situation, which was pretty heroic. I know I'm guilty of getting a little bit complacent around water features and taking more risk than is probably necessary, but this video is a good reminder of the reality that if you do go in water, it can get pretty ugly pretty quickly. All right, let's move on to clip number 4 and our final clip, and this is going to be kind of an all-encompassing thing because this almost seems like a trend that's happened recently. Between the clip that we're going to look at today from Aaron, my man Kyle Oakley, who will also be linked in the description, and I swear there was a third person that this happened to, but I can't seem to find any evidence on it. This apparently has happened, I think, 3 times, like in the past month or 2. And what I'm talking about is the pilot goes to do a forward inflation, they're adding power, and somehow a line from the glider gets sucked into the propeller, and it jerks their hand back with the brake toggle all the way to the propeller and severs nearly one of their fingers. Let's take a look at this clip.
Cut my finger off. Cut my finger off.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
You gonna sit down? Get some wet towels and ice?
I need to get to the hospital.
Yep. You want me to call Becky? Is she home?
So let's talk about some of the factors at play and how we could potentially try to avoid these situations in the future. In this particular situation with Aaron, he talks about that this was his second attempt at the launch because it was nil wind. I guess he failed the first launch. The ground was dewy, so his wing was getting harder to inflate. More and more factors are stacking in it becoming a hard launch. A wet wing in zero wind, you have to run really hard. And what that kind of leads to is trying to use the power to your benefit to get the wing up and make the running easier and get the wing above your head. What that means is kind of adding power early to assist in the whole process before your wing is completely over your head. When you're going through your inflation and the glider is rising up above your head, somewhere in that middle zone as you're adding power, there is some type of random chance that one of those lines will be slack enough that it can get into the propeller and then grab more lines and then suck your arm back. But honestly, like, power forwards are a thing, and it's something I've done in the past to assist the inflation, adding a little bit of power, and it seems like there's obvious danger to that. I want to roll some footage from my man Kyle Oakley as well. Kyle didn't have video of his actual incident, but very similar thing happened to him. He kind of described it as something didn't feel quite right on his launch. The wing wasn't, getting lift for whatever reason, and obviously a line was slack enough to get caught in the prop and suck his hand back.
When I looked up at the wing, I could see the wing stalling. It was going back down. I immediately hit the kill switch, and I immediately got my hand sucked back into the propeller. So it all happened like simultaneously. Push the button, whack. I can't even say it as fast as it happened. Now the next set of images are where it starts to get gruesome. Look away now if you're a little queasy. This was all pictures from the initial injury, from day one. This was the x-ray they did right when I got to the emergency room. You can see it basically crushed the bone. And I'm actually missing some bone. I found out yesterday there's bone that's not there that's supposed to be there. This is the, it was just sort of dangling. You can see some bone hanging out of the wound there.
Once again, I appreciate all of these people who have shared their videos because this is how we learn and hopefully improve and hopefully not replicate these whole situations again. That's all the crash footage I've got for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and I hope you learned something. I hope you don't chop a finger off, crash into trees, crash into water. Be safe out there. Paramotoring's a ton of fun, but it can also be a little bit risky with the brand plug. Like I mentioned, stay tuned in, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the new merch, the new giveaway. In addition to that, a little behind the scenes, I've been stacking a bunch of content that I consider like really good, beautiful content. And starting about next week, I'm gonna be rolling out all these episodes of fun, exciting, epic stuff. So stay tuned for that. Hope you guys enjoyed. Till the next one, fly safe, have fun. Peace.